Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of the Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 and 107.7 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee who have been a part of the Outer Realm journey since day one. So thank you, Folgers. We appreciate you so much. And no one loves you more, I promise you. Also, big thank you to Justin Snicker, aka Dr. Snick the Sonic Surgeon, for his contribution of his voice and his music for the intro and the outro. Justin, faux pas there, sorry about that, is an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can't be found anywhere that good music can be found. Also, big thank you to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind all the artwork here at the Outer Realm. So thank you very much, Steve McGinnis. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Check out his commission pieces and check out the stock. It's unbelievable. Anyway, tonight we welcome for the very first time here on the show Kevin Jeffers, who's going to be discussing his experiences as a soul traveler, a healer, energy specialist. He's basically set out to teach people to achieve spiritual freedom through a unique expression of consciousness that he calls the pattern. And of course, you can see it scrolling across here, an exploration of consciousness. And we were doing a sound check earlier, and I have to say, we just got talking about some different things. And maybe there'll be a little something, get into the second hour, which, I thought was just like outstanding when, we sent that over last minute. Like, yes, please. So thank you. So let's bring Kevin on right now, and let's get the show on the road. Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can. I'm so excited.
Hi.
Woo, I know.
Hello.
I know. Hit and miss. So hello. Welcome. So,
Thank you.
Amelia, Kevin.
Hi.
Kevin, Amelia.
Hi. Nice to meet you, Kevin. I didn't want to cut off because of the leg.
For the record, Amelia, Kevin is Italian.
Well, I would, that's really interesting with a
Italian?
name like Kevin.
I know.
Well, I had a little Irish influence, but I'm Sicilian.
Okay, my
heard-
husband's Sicilian.
Okay, everyone else is non-Italian.
Everyone else is not Italian. I said the Kevin has to come from somewhere, right? That's a very common mix, though, Irish and Italian. It's very common.
Mm-hmm.
I think the cultures are very similar.
There's a lot of mutual attraction.
Yeah, there's a lot of Irish and Italian families. There's loads of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to delving into this, and I have to say I like to start off with humble beginnings. I have to ask, how does one come up with this interesting and yet amazing concept of the pattern, an exploration of consciousness? I think this is a really big thing right now. People are really looking for something that gives them real answers, and it's hard to find real answers. I mean, we've been suppressed, I think, in many ways, and people have been conditioned. Let's face it, we're pretty conditioned almost since birth to believe a certain thing. So why don't I let you take it wherever you want to take it, and how did this all begin for you?
Well, it began a long, long time ago.
Okay. Excellent.
I think I've become accustomed to the notion that I'm a natural sensitive. And the years that I've been involved in this, spanning more than 50 years, just one experience building on top of another.
Right.
So a more recent experience was what I call the pattern. And that was one night. I usually meditate early in the morning, 1, 2 o'clock. I was in a meditation, and I was going to a place I wanted to continue my work in soul retrieval, but it seems like Spirit had another idea. So it's like I was heading to one door, but another door opened, and I said, okay, I'm open for this. Went in through the door, and then what unfolded in front of me was a representation of what I call the pattern. It was a grid, but it was more than that. It was more than a visual. It was, as I got closer to the grid, it became intensely emotional. It was like that grid was looking into me and in me, and I just wasn't ready for the experience. I don't know if I'm ever ready for one of those experiences, but
no kidding.
So it was like not communicating in the sense you pick up the telephone and you talk to somebody, but it was energy communication. I knew what I was seeing. I knew what was trying to be communicated, but it all came to me in energy. But we all have the amazing capacity to translate energy into words or thoughts or states of being. So the pattern reached out to me. Obviously, I didn't go there. I didn't even know where there was. And it was emerging. And it took me months and months and months before I could even begin to talk about this. It was such a high impact on who I am in my consciousness. But as I started to assimilate it, I was wrapping up the book that I have out now, The Pattern, and I started talking about it, mostly to my daughter, who is kind of like a cohort, like you guys are buds. She's my friend. She's more sensitive than I am, but she's young, hasn't learned to articulate yet. But she knew what I was describing to her. So she said, "Hey, Dad, you're just going to have to come out of the closet. You're just going to have to come out and talk about this stuff, because you spent all your life taking care of friends and family, but you never spent any time going out with what you experienced."
Right. May I ask how old she is? Because, wise words often come from the youngest.
She's 36.
Ah, okay. Very nice.
Well, that's definitely young.
Yes.
She counseled me to share the experience, and she said, by sharing the experience, I'll take the emotional edge off of it, which is actually what happened. And that was the beginning of the experience of the pattern. Right.
And may I ask, again, with upbringing, were you brought up with a religious background? I was brought up Roman Catholic. And boy, when I realized what was really happening in the world, I kind of went, I don't think this is working for me. Right. So
I followed the same track.
Right. Okay.
I was raised a Catholic in a small town in the Midwest. And as I was experiencing these things, you knew instinctively, don't talk about it.
Right. That's true. The family secret.
Just opened the door to other problems. Right. And believe me, when I was young, I had enough problems.
Right.
So I internalized the experiences. But then when I got older, say 18 or 19, I started doing past life hypnoregression. And that was a long, long time ago. And that was it was a new thing. You couldn't pick up a book and read about it.
Right. This is true.
The guy who was hypnotizing me was kind of finding his way through the whole thing. And I turned out to be a good subject because I transitioned almost immediately out of where I am to who I am.
Right.
So I learned a lot of interesting things about myself.
Now, have you ever heard of anything like that before or since? Or, are you a bit of an anomaly?
I've run across people that have the number one experience is shifting consciousness from the here to the there.
And okay, can you elaborate on that for those who are listening?
Yeah, we become accustomed to the idea of out-of-body experience, and that's brand new too,
Right.
at least in Western culture.
Right.
And what we've read and what we've heard and seen shows about is someone's energy body steps out of their physical body
Right.
and goes traveling. They travel to wherever they're inclined to travel. Some have higher purpose, some have lower purpose. It's just who the person is and what they want.
Right.
Shifting consciousness is not out of body in energy body, but it's out of body in the energetic consciousness.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you see everything, and I think you see it clearer, and you go places where the out of body experience tends to hold you back, because you're just dealing with consciousness, the soul's consciousness. And that leaves the door open for a lot of interesting experiences.
It can. Do you think that with that experience, how much mindset comes into play? Because a lot of people, when we talk about out-of-body experiences, they're very fearful.
Well, I've spent a long, long time divesting myself of beliefs and expectations.
Right.
I found them to be limiting concepts. I was operating perceptually from a box.
Right.
I had to learn how to open the box and expand my perception of consciousness in order to go out and do the things that I've been doing for the last 15, 20 years.
Right.
So it was a process. It's all process.
Right.
If you're not born gifted with that ability, you can learn that ability.
Right. You just hone it, make it your own. I think if people could get past the fear, I think that's the big one. I mean, if I had a nickel, as they say, yeah.
Fear is fear of dying. You think if you go out, you're not going to come back.
Yes. Yes. And we have a question.
And that really chokes you down, because even though you want to do this, and even though you might have the ability or capability, you just think in the back of your consciousness, okay, I'm going to go out, I'm going to do something, and then I won't be able to get back.
Right. That's a big one.
A lot of people are stopped at the point of departure from their body because they're afraid. They're afraid they're not going to come. Once they go out, they're not going to come back.
Do you think that, is it a warranted fear, with step-ins, things like that?
No, I've not encountered that.
Okay. No, that's good to know, because it's a really big, genuine fear for some people. Too many movies, media does play a big part in how people think about things like this. Like, why is something steps in and I'm stuck out here in the ether somewhere? It's just, it's silly to some, but to others, like it's pretty serious. We have one question. Amelia, do you want to get this? Can you see it? Okay, great. Right there. Oh, I can't hear you. Yeah.
No, because you muted me.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you now. All right.
Yeah. Is it too loud?
No, it was good. I was catching the fan in the background, so the only reason.
Oh, yeah, I moved it.
Okay.
Dolly, hi, Dolly. Dolly asks, how much of your out-of-body experiences are you aware from beginning to each end of each one?
Yeah, every moment, beginning to end.
Right. All right.
It's not like you step out and forget who you are. You step out and you know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some people say that they don't remember and they're not aware. So I think that could be a whole different experience they're having.
No. Let me suggest that they go from the out-of-body experience into a dream state. Because what they're experiencing and what they're seeing is beyond their ability to conceptualize it or frame it within their current reality. So they go blank, but they're not blank. They're just moving into the dream state.
Mm-hmm.
And then after you fall asleep and wake up one day, that morning, or you step back out of the dream because you no longer feel the need to protect yourself.
Right.
It's all about protecting yourself, the integrity of who you are. And I say to people who ask me about this, you're a soul. When you identify with your body, you're a soul in a body, but you're mostly your body. But when you identify with being a soul, a active form of consciousness, you don't die.
Mm.
The body may die, but you don't die. You just continue. Unfortunately, you go back and do it all over again.
Right. Right. Comment.
Yeah, Tamara. Hi, Tamara. Tamara says, when you are born into a family that out of body experiences are normal, for example, her grandfather would be asleep in the bedroom and she would see him walk inside the house from outside. So it was normalized due to her grandfather's abilities.
That'd be a little much for me. It's like, all right then. But yeah, I guess.
I have a bit of a reputation in the family for showing up in someone's house.
Yeah. Oh, you just go visit, do you?
I go visit. They say, Kevin, I saw you again last night. And a couple of months ago, my grandson said, Grampy was here. And so
very nice.
The experience, the grandfather's experience is really not unique. From my point of view, it's wonderful.
Right. I think it's an amazing experience. It's just another part of the evolution. You know, we evolve, and I think that's the whole thing, is getting to that point where we use our full potential. And you know, sadly, there's people who do it and aren't aware of it, and there's people who are afraid of it, and there's people who you know will probably never experience it in this lifetime.
And there are people that experience it, and they have options. When you're traveling out of your body, you have options. You can be a good boy or a bad boy. You can go into the light. You can go visit strange places. Once you're out, it's choice and inclination.
Right. I agree with you on that one. Amelia, for those who are wondering, just having a bit of a tech issue. Also having a sound issue, ironically. So I don't know. She was talking and then she just wasn't talking. So anyway, big shout out, Michael Kenny. Thank you for tuning in. Tamara, Brian, Kenny, Dolly. I acknowledge you all. So, I mean, what prompted you to, I mean, you decided this is called the pattern. And in writing your book, what were your hopes in writing this book? It's almost kind of like that whole, what resonates with me is like The Secret, you know, that whole thing. It becomes like a movement of sorts. Are you hoping it becomes a bit of a household name and that people just want to really eat it up and learn about it?
Well, I'm glad they're learning about it. I'm fairly indifferent to the household thing you mentioned.
Right.
The point of the book, and if you read into it, is a pathway to greater consciousness.
Right.
Because we're all heading towards greater consciousness.
Here's to hoping.
Unfortunately, the current energy configuration of consciousness, and that includes everything, animals, people, inanimate objects, is not a very helpful or positive experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I know from what I've experienced and looked at that a new consciousness is being formed now.
Right.
And it will be emerging of the new consciousness with the old consciousness, and then we'll see a spiritual uplift.
Right. Right.
So the point of the book, in looking back at it over the years, it took a long time to write this thing, is that we are moving into greater consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And next to it is that we are a soul and we don't die. We're the forever beings.
Absolutely.
We identify so closely with our bodies that we think, no, we're going to die. Well, you are going to die, but that's who you are will not die.
Right. Right.
And there's plenty of attestation that points to, or anecdotes that point to, that's a true statement.
Right.
People that have gone out of their body, they come back to their body, they report. It's like, it's natural as breathing.
Right. I think
we
it's attachment.
We think we are.
Yeah.
Much.
Yeah. We attach to things, and the body realistically is a thing.
Because we were taught that.
Yeah.
And also keep in mind, and I think this is experienced, when we incarnated into the earth, we took on two major obstacles. We forgot that there is no time.
Right.
and we forgot there is no space.
Right.
So when you were born, little Kevin was born. Kevin divested himself of his experience as a soul and embraced the experience as a form of living consciousness with an energy body on the earth plane.
Right. Having a human experience, basically.
So most people have to relearn that they came in here to learn about time. They came in here to learn about the space.
Mm-hmm.
They're not to learn how to use the limitations and definitions of time to push them out forward in attaining a higher degree of consciousness.
Right. Right. All right. Before we jump too far ahead, can you describe some of the places you've been outside of this place? Tech issue, I know. It's been a day. We're going through retrograde, Mercury retrograde. Anybody? Jeepers. Yeah. Can you describe some of the places you've been outside of this place, which I'm guessing is good old planet Earth?
Oh, outside of the earth?
Yeah. Have you traveled outside the Earth?
Everywhere else.
Okay.
I had a long time to do this. It's not like I woke up one day and I visited everywhere.
Right.
I would choose last year I chose to look into black holes.
Okay.
So
How'd that go?
That was easy because consciousness is not retained by gravity.
Right.
And on the other side of the black hole is a whole other reality, as an example.
Right.
And it's not even close to the one we have here.
Right. So getting into like dimensions or multiverses, things of that nature.
It's really a configuration of energy patterns.
Okay.
I'll give an example. I went through the black hole the first time. I expected to be demolished. I told my family, I said, well, I'm going to the black hole tonight. If I don't wake up, do this.
Just like Dad going to work. Dad's going into the black hole tonight. Don't wait up.
Don't wait up.
Oh, my word.
Give me a good funeral.
Right.
They're used to my humor.
Right.
So I went through the black hole.
Right.
And I was in the black hole. And in the black hole is absolute silence. Absolute. It was,
Right.
I hate to be trite, but it was like sparkling lights, different colored lights.
Right.
So I transitioned or I moved through the black hole and I popped out on the other side. And it was literally a pop. Because there's a barrier. There's the black hole and there's everything else, either forward or backwards. So I said, this is cool. I didn't expect this. I thought I'd be chewed up, but no, I'm good. So I continued on out and I saw two oblong planets
Right.
next to each other.
Right.
And I said, in our rules of gravity, two planets next to each other are about to explode. So these two planets, and I get closer and closer, they were telling jokes with each other.
Okay. That's very unusual.
I thought so too.
Right. Right.
So they're talking and jokes, and I don't know planet talk, but they all seemed they were emanating a good time.
Right. 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 That would definitely be a different experience. I mean, you can pretty much say, okay, well, I thought I'd seen it all, but Tamara wants to know, have you ever had anybody where you went someplace and you were discovered? God,
Well,
I feel like
That's a good question.
Well, do we have sound?
Yes, I had to restart my computer twice. I apologize, Kevin. I'm so sorry. I don't like to interrupt the guests like that. My web browser dropped the connection, so I had to
Okay.
restart it twice. I
You
apologize for
have
interrupting.
a backlog of questions. Feel free.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So have you ever gone someplace where you were discovered?
Well,
I
then
guess they would think
go
you're a
back
time traveler.
to when my brother saw me in his bedroom.
Right.
He woke up and there I am. And he said, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this again?" And honestly,
yeah.
I smiled and winked and left.
Wow. It's like it's like it's your fault.
It's a family member, and they're very close to you, so you could probably say, "Well, so and so and so." But I've also gone to friends where I don't have that close bonding and relationship, who have found me somewhere near the bedroom. And I say the bedroom, not because I'm really attracted to what's going on in the bedroom. Well, frankly, when you're out of body, you don't care.
Right. Right.
But I go out in the early morning. And so you're visiting, unless you go around the globe to China or something, to Asia, you're probably in a 3-hour coincidence of night and sleep. So generally that's what it is.
Right.
That is crazy. If you showed up at my house, I think I would flip my wig. Like,
Like,
what?
And why are you near my bedroom?
Why are you here? No, I'd be wide
That'd be the
awake.
big
'Cause
one.
I never sleep. I'd be wide awake, but it would be a little bizarre. That's
I would
funny how your brother said, "and again."
I know. So
yeah.
I guess the big question here is, when did you, like, when you started just, leaving, did you have control right away, or is this something that you realized that you had to basically work on to get the degree of control that you have now, where you can say, I'm going to just go into a black hole and just do it?
Well,
I mean,
that-
some
yeah.
people leave their bodies and they're in shock that they're sitting up on the ceiling.
Well, most of those people that are in shock don't understand what they're experiencing,
Right.
because their perception of their reality is you don't do that.
Right.
So if you're spending your time in shock, you're definitely not learning anything, and probably would snap back into your body.
Mhm.
So as you do this more and more, and I've been experiencing out of body for a long, long time. And at the beginning, it was weird,
Mm.
because I would lift out of my body, but my neck, energetic neck, would be stuck to my physical neck. So there I am, feet up in the air, kind of dangling, the wind's going back and forth, and I can't get out. So I knew the ability to go out was there, but the ability to disconnect, as a friend of mine said who knows these things, Kevin, you're afraid of death. You have to tell yourself, you have to train yourself, I'm going out and I'm coming back. And you have to believe it down to the core of who you are, or you will always get stuck, or you'll just kind of pop out, pop out, pop out. A lot of people report popping out and popping back in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out.
Right. Do you encounter any unsavory type of energies while you're out there?
You have another hour?
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah, actually, we do.
You know we do.
And I'll just unroll a story.
Yeah, let's just go with it.
When I was traveling, I ran across some very interesting characters, and they broke down into 3 categories. There were demons, there were non-human intelligences, and there were, quote, angelic beings.
Mhm.
And each had its own representative consciousness, and each had its own story, and each had its own wants and needs. And one thing I learned about dealing with anything on the energetic planes is that if you want something, you have to pay for it.
Mm.
And there
Everything
is
has a price.
no cash, there's no credit cards. You pay for it in energy. Energy is the coin of the spiritual realm.
Mhm.
And everything is focused around energy, because energy is the distinguishing mark of who is successful, well-to-do, and can do a lot of things, and the soul who can't do anything or do very little.
Mm.
So a lot of the goal of the demons is an example, which seems to be a parallel evolution to angels. The angels didn't just show up one day. They were an entire species that evolved to where they are now, higher and higher degrees of consciousness. The demons are running parallel to the angels, but as you probably know from experience or literature, they don't exactly have the same goals and objectives. Demons are energy consumers, whereas the angelic entities that I ran across were more nurturing.
Right.
And just a little add-on, my experience, angels don't have wings.
Right.
What people see when they see an angel and it looks like a wing is actually energy, a brilliant energy that swirls around their body, comes out of their head, goes around, but no wings.
What about, I just want to make mention of archangels. Have you seen, I'm sure, if you've delved into this, they're not at all what you think. Like, some of them look pretty horrific. They're just these big, round, Some look like feathers. Some look like just, I don't know how you would explain it. I'm going to try to find a picture while you're talking. Because the first time I saw this, I was just like, a few years ago now, people are just like, it's not what you think. And I was like, oh, what do I think? So I know. Okay, you can please keep telling your story. I'm going to try to search one of these.
Well, then I'll actually address what you just said. That there's a hierarchy of angelic beings.
Okay.
There's lower levels. I call them tiers: lower tiers, mid tiers, higher tiers. And the higher the tier you go up, there's more of a spiritual expression of their being. And you go high enough, you won't come back.
Right. Okay.
So possibly if you had an encounter with something that was not an archangel per se, it might have been a tier 1 angel or tier 1. I call them angelics.
Right.
But an archangel you wouldn't survive that encounter.
Yeah.
Why do you believe that you wouldn't survive the encounter with the archangel?
Well, it's a question of, have you ever been burnt energetically?
No, I mean, I've been hurt by darkness, but no, never by light.
Why can't I find what I'm looking for? Okay, I'm not going to be able to find this. What I guess the best way for me to describe it is, I'm just going to try to do the screen share and have a boo at this. 1 second. I'll get as close to it as I can. Because apparently they are pretty horrific. So I use those tag words just for, I'm going to go to the Google page and I'm going to bring us on here. So I guess what I'm looking at is the one up here. You know, you have these sort of angels right here. Hold on. Let me back in. You know what I mean? This sort of idea here. Like, they're not what people, they're not. See, here we go. This is the one where they say, this is the idea right there of what Christian, now mind you, this is Christian. Not at all what you would think. And this is a thing. So here we go. There's different renditions of it right here.
I don't like that guy.
Right? I mean,
No, I don't.
Yeah.
It's just not an entity that you want to meet.
Right. So I guess, you know, if this is supposed to be a thing, what do you think they are?
They're higher forms of energy and consciousness.
Right.
There's nothing bad about anything in the universe.
Right.
Nothing. It's what our evaluations and judgments are about what we're encountering.
Yeah.
And if you operate on the basis of energy, spiritual energy, astral energy,
Mm-hmm.
there's no real differentiation between you and they, other than the vibrancy and frequency of their energy field.
Right.
Because they're different,
Mm-hmm.
but they're highly individualized.
Right.
I've yet to meet anyone that looks the same as anybody else.
Absolutely.
There's no prototype angel. There just simply is not.
Right. You get that one?
Yeah. Absolutely. Dolly asks, when you see an archangel, what you see is where you are at spiritually to reflect the status of your consciousness. I feel the same way she does because I see them differently as well.
So basically you and Dolly are of the mind that it's where you are in your state of consciousness as to how you perceive. So this is perception then.
It's almost like a psychic language. My psychic language, my mediumship language and symbols will be different than others. That's why I don't believe in when psychics or mediums write these books that say this is the language to reading and this is the symbol. I don't think it's like that for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. It's just because I see them completely different. I've seen them horrendously,
mm-hmm.
But never the arcs.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
I would suggest that spirituality, in that comment that you just showed, is the equivalency of energetic
Let
frequency.
me put it back up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
everything is
they're going on a higher level, a higher frequency of energy
right.
than what we're accustomed to.
Right. Right. I'm just putting up comments while you're talking. So
Yeah.
yeah, no problem. Bart is huge into to consciousness for sure. Oh yeah, he's got a show here on
Hey,
the
Bart, I
network.
like this. I like this a lot.
Yeah.
I had a near-death experience. I'm not going to go into the details.
Right.
And I went to, at that point in time, I saw a portal of light.
Right.
Because there was no Raymond Moody, there was no articulation of the tunnel and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
just-
Right.
Portal of light.
Yeah.
And as I approached, I'm thinking, cool, I was very young. I finally get to get out of this mess. And an angelic form, if you want to call it that, the spiritual being, kind of like neutral, neither male nor female, but just powerfully made, emitting an energy that you just felt like you fell in love
Right.
immediately.
Drew you in.
And so this figure puts their hand on my chest and they say, no, not you. Push me.
Yeah.
Body.
Burn.
I
Yeah.
need to go in and check it out.
Right. Right.
No, they don't let you in if you're not supposed to be there.
I wasn't supposed to be there. This was a self-induced situation. Nope, go back. Pushed me. It was actually rather rude. And I thought about it. I said, well, okay, I'm not ready to die. Well, I can embrace that.
Right.
So
Right.
not even a peek.
No. But what happened, Amelia, is that when the angelic form touched me, there was an energy transfer.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go anywhere in consciousness if you know the energy configuration you want to meet.
Hmm.
That makes sense.
It's like a tag. Once you tag an entity, the spiritual entity, you can find them forever. Adversely, they can find you forever.
It's like imprinting.
Imprinting. It's more like a data pack. I call it data packs. They're
Right.
like the shapes. They come in boxes and hexagons and diamonds, all kinds of stuff. But they contain a compressed energy of knowledge.
Mm. Right.
And I've had the experience where one of these folks pushed this energy configuration, the shape into me, and I spent months and months and months diagnosing what that meant. So when I went to the portal the first time, I connected and I tagged the place,
Right.
which I'm sure they knew I was doing, so I could go back.
Hmm.
But
And
I
did they
didn't know
let you?
there was tagging.
Yeah.
I didn't know I could use that. That really evolved itself over my life until I said, wow, that first experience into the portal gave me the entry to go again on my own.
Right.
And that time there was no rejection.
Right. Right.
You know, you just go enough and they say, oh, well, he's back again.
Right. It was just like one of the guys after that. So
Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, some people, I guess, might call them downloads as well. You
Mhm.
know, with certain individual entities or beings that they communicate with on a regular basis. I don't know that it can, something that can happen with multiple, different entities. But
Does it make any difference? Yeah.
yeah,
It's kind of like you make these tags and you connect and you put them in storage.
right.
Because as a soul, you have infinite capacity.
Hmm.
There are no limitations in time and space. So you connect with somebody and they're a part of your reality forever.
Do you
Mhm.
think mentally, sorry, that we physically can grasp some of that? Do you think that's why we just don't naturally have that ability? When
Well,
you say take it and store it,
Well, yeah, the data packet is energy, so it's not likely you're gonna feel it anywhere except in your energetic body.
Right.
No, it's there.
Right. Right. Okay. Just putting up comments, guys. Thank you for being here. So let's get back to you sent me this other book that you're working on, Chaos Between Earth and Upper Planes. That's a pretty powerful title right there. The Chaos Between Earth and Upper Planes. Do you want, can you, because I know like this is a work in progress. Can you, well, what would make you think that there's so much chaos? Like, why write about it? Like, it
There's
just
so
seems
many energetic forms in unalignment with each other. They have their own areas of interest.
right,
Going back to this concept that energy is the coin of the realm in the spiritual realm,
right,
there's a lot of conflict, and there are different agendas, and there are different areas of energy.
right. And is this what led you to soul retrieval, I guess? Or vice versa? You decided you wanted to touch on this because you come across a lot of lost souls, and you figure they're just
Well, that was one
there?
of my earlier experiences, going out to the energetic ring around the earth. They call it the earth energy system.
Right,
You see just enough, untold number of souls that are floating around.
right,
They don't know where to go. They're stuck.
right,
And it intrigued me to begin with because I went through this area where there were a lot of screaming and yelling and helping and so on. Until I reached the level where I met some people that I knew had passed. And that drag from those entities
right.
really reduced.
Okay, so we sort of cut out there for a second. Yeah, because I mean, lost souls. Do you believe that all souls? I mean, can they all find their way? Do you
Most.
really think? Really? Yeah.
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 Finding their way into the light is fairly common, normal.
Right.
They have spiritual connections. They have family members that have died before them, passed before them, that are connected with them.
Mm-hmm.
They have interested parties. So most people get through. They go from earth life into the light really smoothly.
Yeah, because I've heard spirits say, I can't see the light. I don't know where it is. I'm lost.
And they can't see it
Right.
because they don't believe in it. They have no experience of it. It's not in their frame of concepts that there is a light. How many times have you heard someone say, well, I'm going to die and then put me in a box in the ground?
Yeah.
So where do you go? Where do you go after you're put in the ground?
They just go back into the
don't
universe. I mean, yeah, it's just the body that goes into the ground, But you're talking about a backlog here.
Oh, huge backlog.
Right. Can you explain that based on your experiences?
Well, think about the human condition of people that die generally are elderly people. They develop Alzheimer's, dementia. They lose all connections with this reality.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people that die through the use of chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people that die by violence. Violence leaves a very strong mark on your energy body.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are the ones that really brought me into this. They're the children.
Right.
And there are children who are stuck because they don't know where to go. They don't have passage. They don't have someone interested in them to take them into the light. There are not a lot of them, but they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And this accumulation of people that have died and unable to go into the light has been hundreds of years in the making, actually longer than that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Civilizations.
Well, the outer realm is packed, is jammed full of souls that are stuck. While the majority went on, they didn't. I was reading the statistics. I read there were about 50 to 60 million people die a year.
Wow.
So if there's 99% make transition into the light. What happens to the 1%? The number is higher than that, but I just want to put it on a manageable level.
It adds up pretty quick, doesn't it?
500, 750,000 people that don't know where to go year after year after year after year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Do you ever find souls, do you encounter souls that perhaps don't want to continue? It's not a matter of I can't find the light. I don't want to be there. I don't want to reincarnate. I don't want to come back.
Well, that's the wrong place to do it.
Yeah.
If you don't want to come back, you go into the light. You have a conference with your total self, your other parts of who you are, and you give that conversation. I don't want to go back. But then what I find is things get tricky once you're in spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Start feeling the love. You start feeling the connection to other souls.
Right.
And you tend to forget all the reasons why you don't want to come back.
Right.
Okay. But have you encountered, is my mic better now? Chris said it's loud.
Yeah, it's really loud.
Oh, you know what? I give up.
Tech
I give up today.
Difficulties.
Yeah, definitely. I'm
That's better.
speaking very quietly and I'm moving away from it.
Yeah.
But my question is, have you ever encountered souls like that you had to help?
I don't recall souls in that condition that you're talking about.
Okay.
I find a lot of souls that don't want to leave the earth.
Right.
They have
Attachment.
family members. They've got emotional connections. They've developed obsessions about things.
Right.
They don't-
Right. That's attachment.
And
Right.
if a person, I'm kind of making this up, but I'm hypothecating right here. If a person is at the point where they can decide they don't have to come back, they don't want to come back, they're not going to get stuck.
Right.
Because they have an upliftment of consciousness to the point where you realize that you're here by choice and this is your job, but you don't want to be here anymore. Is probably at the level where you do have a choice not to come back.
Right.
But you'll just be guilted into coming back anyhow, so it's kind of a lost cause.
I mean, unless you're dealing with maybe with like karmic issues. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, just
a
curiosity.
question.
Because
Can
you
you
always hear about people going over, but you don't hear them say, I
Yeah.
encountered this soul who said, no, I'm not going through there. Or,
Yeah.
if they were fearful or they're
Mhm.
Chris, hi, Chris. Can you ask the guest what he thinks about the transmigration of souls?
I'm not excited about answering that question.
Oh, okay.
Chris, what were you thinking asking our guest that question?
I would say, Chris, yes. But it's
Thank
not,
you, Chris.
It's not a mass phenomenon. From what I'm seeing, it's a very limited phenomenon of souls transmigrating from one body to one species to another species, another body to another body. It's not common, but it does happen.
Right.
When we first started incarnating into the earth plane, we're very basic souls. Very, very basic. We don't come in as angels. We come in as cavemen.
Mhm.
Basic needs, basic wants, basic satisfactions. And then when we evolve, and sometimes, and this is an interesting part of what I experienced, is that entities, I call them entities because they're a form of consciousness, from another planetary system will come into the earth.
Mhm.
It's not like it's a fully formed, high-level society where, frankly, they're just bored. They think they can help out those humans.
Mhm.
So I've seen that happen, and it's usually with very bad results.
Right.
It's
Right.
rare that a entity would come in and be successful here because we're not accustomed, not educated in human culture.
Right.
So Dolly's right. You can go anywhere you want to go if you got permission from your total self to go there. and it's a thing that you need to learn.
Right.
I want
Everything is driven by what you need to learn.
I want to go to the Maldives next time and just stay there.
Right.
When you die, you don't have this big to-do that you read about. Your guardian angel, your guide.
Right.
Say, what did you learn?
Mm.
I learned how to do this, and I learned how to do that. That's the question. What did you learn? What did you take away from the Earth experience?
Mm-hmm.
So,
You don't.
who you shot as a sniper, or who you killed in war, or whatever, they don't care. Because that's the total experience of being human.
Yeah.
All of us are predators. And it's probably
Do
going to impress some people, but we are predators. Because we come into a predatory world.
Well, let me ask you this then. Out of all the places you've traveled to, have you traveled to other planets? How are we in comparison? I personally think, planet Earth is a pretty barbaric place. It really is. Like we're still like the kids in the sandbox throwing sand at one another. Like we're volatile in a lot of ways. Not everybody. But I'm just saying, as a species, when we kill for sport, we divide, we conquer, we hate, we just control. How are we in comparison with some of these other places, if you've been?
Well, I would suggest that you look in after this, go to Google and type in Chardevsky scale.
Mm.
Chardevsky scale are the scale of consciousness.
Mm.
And consciousness, the higher the consciousness, is related to their access and ability to use energy.
Mm-hmm.
We're the Earth is, I don't think you're on first level yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's not there. The first level is harnessing the sun and managing weather.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting closer, but we're not there.
Right.
Higher levels of consciousness they have the ultimate freedom to choose what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But humans are kind of down there at the bottom of the barrel.
Right. I know, Chris, we're not all predators, but that's why I reiterated what I said.
So
But,
actually,
yeah.
if you've got a body, you're a predator.
Right.
You go to the grocery store and you stock up on your protein. Some animal died in that process of packaging and giving you your protein.
Not if you're vegan.
Yeah.
Smarter than plants.
Pardon? I'm not vegan. I'm just saying the vegans would be all over you for that one. Pardon?
If you're a vegan, you have to slaughter plants. You've got to murder the
It's
plant.
true. And plants do. They can scream. Yeah.
Scientists have proven that they talk to each other. They
Yes.
respond to classical music. They
Yes.
make messages. There's messaging between plants.
Do vegans know that?
I don't know.
That's a whole other show.
Yeah, we're gonna jump over. Tamara, go ahead, Amelia. You can keep
Sure,
forgetting.
no
You
problem.
can catch
It's
it.
okay. Tamara asked, what was the most surprising thing you have learned thus far?
That is, as you mentioned previously, there's chaos between earth and heaven. That surprised me because I was trained in the Catholic tradition, as you mentioned, where you die and all the angels wrap their wings around you and you go into the clouds and everything is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
That is incredibly far from the truth.
Mm-hmm. So you're, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I call it energetic predation.
Right. Right.
And Dolly, there's consciousness is everything.
Yeah. No, that's right. Yeah. Kevin spoke of that. Most angels don't have wings. Yeah. Yeah.
Angels don't have wings.
Yeah, Chris came in a little late.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's get back to let's talk about non-human intelligence and aliens. Now you'll see Dolly chiming in.
Well, that was an eye-opener for me. I have encountered non-human intelligence off and on since I was a child.
Right.
But it wasn't taken to the spaceship and get operated on, and it's just like, okay, if I see them and they see me, and that was that. But that's the physicality of the planet where they were real, because they had an energetic configuration similar to people.
Mm-hmm.
As you go into the non-human intelligences with higher levels of energy, more complicated patterns around you, then you can't even talk their language.
Right.
I encountered, and this was totally strange. I encountered an alien representative of an alien culture who wanted to cooperate and work with me.
Mm-hmm.
And well, the first thing that comes to my mind is, what's the catch?
Yeah, I was going to say, work with you how?
What do I have? What do you care?
Yeah.
And apparently there was some need for a human operating on the energetic planes to do certain things for the non-human intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
I would sidebar this with, that's why angels aren't all over this place. They have to reduce their energetic frequency to the point of discomfort, to the point of feeling like they're falling apart. That's why it's so unusual to see a high-level energetic being, or an angel, or even aliens come to the Earth plane, because
Right.
it's matter.
Right. Okay.
You got very special configurations of energy and consciousness to come to the Earth and not experience the trauma of having yourself, your identity, or being reduced to simple energetic frequencies.
Right. Right. So, I mean, did you continue on a relationship with them, or did you just try to?
I forgot where my story was.
I'm sitting going, are we going somewhere with this?
Yeah, where are we going? Where are we going? Thanks for pulling me back.
It's the end of the
Following
week.
along.
It's the end of the week. It's yeah.
We're all tired. It's like,
It's
okay,
like why?
I know this is going somewhere.
I'll finish my story to the degree that I'm able.
Yes, of
Is
course.
So I made
Thank
the
you.
connection with the non-human intelligence operating at a higher frequency. They
Right.
wanted certain things done, and I was interested
Right.
because they started throwing symbols out on a wall that I was looking at and explaining what they all meant. So somehow I was going to start reading alien. It didn't happen, by the way. So I said, okay, I'm interested. I'll figure it out. My guide said, okay, just understand that aliens are really tricky. So the alien, non-human intelligence, produced the contract for you to sign. And you never sign the contract with a non-human intelligence. Never, ever, ever.
Right.
And it was about 3 inches thick. Paper. Symbolically, the energy was paper, about 3 inches thick.
Mm-hmm.
And I handed it back and I said, no, this is danger. My guy says, Evan, you sign that, you just sold yourself.
Okay, so how are you dealing with aliens here or demons? Here's a question from Dolly. Hold on.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that. Dolly and I are definitely ending up in the Maldives. Dolly asked, did they tell you who they were or from where? I was going to ask what race, what.
I don't think we'd ever be able to find the where, because these were non-human intelligence operating at a much, much higher frequency. So where they came from would not even be discernible to all of our instrumentation.
Right.
So the aliens that come in, example, in the Whitley Strieber books, they come from a planet. And they are predators as well. The ones that I encounter while I'm in the motives and consciousness of higher planes. So they're not predators, they're just traders, business people. They want something to pay for it, but then you have to look at the price you have to pay if you get something. No.
Now, all
So in-
races or specific races?
all of them, everyone I run across, angels, demons, non-human intelligence, you
Mm,
have to pay.
right.
And you
Now,
pay an energy. So then you have to think, well, where do I get the energy? And then the obvious answer is the energy is who you are.
mhm,
And that's where
right.
you kind of like skate along the edge of disaster because you're giving yourself away to get something. It's not worth the thing.
Hmm. Well, I mean, there's a belief, of course, that many aliens were here before us, that they live on the planet, in the planet, in the mountains, in the oceans. You have theories that they're dimensional, interdimensional, multidimensional. How far have you traveled to be able to, I guess, your farthest reach, aside from the black hole? Yes, we only know where you went. You end up on the flip side somewhere.
So what's interesting in the spiritual realm, the higher frequencies, as I mentioned, there's no time in those spaces. Think about that for a minute. You can go forward and backwards and down because consciousness is happening now simultaneously with all forms of consciousness.
Right, right. Well, I mean, I
That's all
don't.
happening now. Everything is happening now. You can
Yeah,
go back to the past. You can visit your past lives.
right,
You can go forward and visit your future lives if you have them.
right.
There's no limitation of where you can be and what you can experience when you are in the higher levels of spirit.
Right. I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you on that. I think at this stage, it's just how do you, like you're saying, don't fear, but you have beings out there. Like, I mean, angels. People were conditioned to believe angels are just like you say. You die, they wrap you around. The wings around you. They save you. They do this and that, and then you're getting it out to the ether somewhere, and you're like, no, that's not really how it goes. And on the by and by, we also have demons, and let's not forget the aliens. So if you're going in with that mindset, how do you? Because if the price is energy, which we know it is, I mean, the planet, has had wars through every culture. I mean, that's ever been on this planet. It generates that type of food, especially negative energy. It's food. Isn't it sad when you think that that type of energy is so powerful? Then you would think positive energy would generate more interest.
Well, they're always in opposition to each other. They're always seeking balance.
Hmm.
Negative energy doesn't naturally hate positive energy. Positive energy doesn't hate negative
Hmm.
energy.
Right.
But consciousness pours it back in.
Right.
So the negative energy can move forward and do a lot of things that are not particularly pleasant, and so can positive energy.
Mm.
That's the point of the uplift of consciousness on the planet, is to bring the positive energy back to balance.
Right.
Because the negative energy seems to have taken the upper hand.
Right. So let me ask you this. As we get into, let's delve back. We're going to jump back a little bit into the demonic realm for a moment. You have people like the Luciferians, magicians, who believe, like you say, I'm only saying it's because of balance. There's a strong belief that even demons have their place and can be helpful. So when you see them in on the flip side, of course, traveling, seeing them for what they are, do you believe that?
Absolutely.
Really? How would you find? I mean, they all come. I've had people say this to me. Everything has its place. I've had experiences that I would call even keel. with them as much as I've had them where it's like, I don't think I want to be messing around with these things, and I don't think I like them in my space. Yet other ones, they are sharers of knowledge. They come from, their creation. So how does one find this balance in the world of demons while traveling? Or in the world here? I mean, how many of them try to come back with you?
Well, the demons are amused by people.
Oh, they are.
They're,
Yeah.
they're striving and silly. But because of their composition, their nature, they're not going to help you.
Right.
They can share or they can transact, like I was talking about energy, but they just think the whole thing is silly.
Right.
Because there's such a highly evolutionary form of evolution that they don't need to fool with people. They just do it for fun.
Right. Right. It's a curiosity. Why don't we do a early station sponsor ID?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm just scared that my mic's gonna bounce or something's gonna happen to me.
I don't know
I
what
think-
is up with this tonight.
I think I'm peeking like all over the place.
Seriously, I produced a show just before doing a sound check with Kevin that was flawless. So-
It's this end. It's this end. I don't know what's going on. But anyways, you are listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans on 105.3 and 107.7 FM, as well as Roku. We are now on Roku. If you're watching us on Roku, welcome. Don't forget to tell your friends about us. And thank you for joining us. Tonight we have Kevin Jeffers in the house with us, and we are discussing his book, The Pattern and Exploration of Consciousness. If you are just tuning in right now, no worries. You can stream or listen to our archives on the platform you normally use. You can simply look up, I believe it's UFO Paranormal or United Public Radio, one of the two, sometimes both, and check out The Outer Realm with Michelle and I, and you'll be able to download the music, the shows, automatically to your app. I've got music in my head because of SoundCloud and Spotify, but our podcasts are on those apps as well. A huge shout out and thank you to the amazing people, I'm losing it tonight, at Folgers Coffee for fully sponsoring our show from day one. We love you and we thank you so much for continuing to sponsor us. A shout out and a huge thank you for our intro and our outro to Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, Justin Snicker, award-winning composer and musician. You can find his music on Amazon and Bandcamp and find him on Facebook and Instagram. And next, you know the drill. Don't forget to share us. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a like, give us a subscribe. If you're watching us on Facebook, the many, many pages of Facebook that we are airing live right now, please give us a like. Go over to the Outer Realm page on Facebook and give us some love. Share. Please share.
There we go. We are back with a comment from Dolly. There we go.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to bed after this. Dolly says, in this arena, Earth, all forms of positive or negative can be experienced by all consciousness. We are here to gain wisdom. Each has its places in the living.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Kevin, where do we go from here? Angelic hierarchies. And maybe touch on some of these demonics who did not start out that way.
The demonics did start out that way. They're an evolution of soul. They
Right.
just took a different path.
Right.
It's like two great ape predators looking to take an advantage, and that's what happens between angels and demons, angelics and demons.
Right.
Demons are just made the way they're made.
Right.
From their point of view, they're not bad. They don't have value judgments. They just are.
Right.
Angelics just are. It's the humans that add judgments and evaluations to everything we experience.
Right. So, I mean, I know that religion has taken things such as uh, pagan deities, ancient deities from different ancient cultures, and Druidism and things of that nature, and everything became a demon after that. So, how are your thoughts on that? Were they always technically through really demons? You know, when
No,
you look at Baal, for example, pagan deity, you know, Tower of Babel, all of that. And then all of a sudden, you're one of the big head kahunas in the demon hierarchy. What
and
came first?
don't forget Satan. Satan is the Catholic conceptualization of ultimate expression of evil.
Mm,
And Satan is nothing like that. If you look back before the
mm,
1800s, there was no Satan.
right.
There were um, earlier gods, earlier forms of God, working in cooperation with middle Christians.
Mm,
But unfortunately, the churches had to have a bad guy. So then they
mm,
say Satan's the bad guy. Who's Satan? Satan is Lucifer. Lucifer is Satan's boss. There has to be a bad guy to blame bad things on.
right. This one's for you.
Okay. Chris says, please let your guests know that I respect his views and he's awesome, even if I might not agree with him. Well, that's the joy of having a conversation, Chris.
Yes.
You can agree to disagree and listen to others. And sometimes, I know every time we have a guest on, I learn something new.
And because you're going back 50 years of experiences, right, Kevin? Like, when did this actually, we're going to go right back to the beginning here a little bit. 50 years of experiences. When did you first start having experiences that, again, were full circle that led you onto this path?
When I was 18.
18. Yeah. It was,
The start of,
57.
yeah, well, Chris, I'm 70, so go with that.
There we go. Right.
So I was 18 and I went to that hypnotist I told you about and I experienced
Yes.
past life.
Right.
I went with my girlfriend at the time.
Right.
And I really wanted to experience something because I wanted to impress her.
Oh,
18
that
year
was the
old.
way.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
I went to the hypnotic session and I dived right into who I am.
Right.
It was just like I was waiting for an excuse to go there, open the door,
I was
expand.
going to say.
And
Yeah.
I think everyone has pivotal moments that happen.
Right. Yes, I was going to say, do you think a door opened for you that day and
Absolutely.
the journey began, no turning back?
Well, I experienced firsthand that I had past lives.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I had feelings about it. I had dreams about it, but I didn't have the face-to-face experience of that life.
Right.
And that was the aha moment. There actually was something going on here.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Hmm.
So when you say that you help people retrieve, like, I'm just going based on what I read at the beginning of the show, because I want to touch on it, because that's pretty much, what you spend your days, doing, part of your research, part of who you are now, your journey, helping people retrieve their lost or incomplete souls. I find that to be a really interesting statement. Incomplete.
I don't want to be too annoying, but I got to open the door for my wife and my son.
It's okay.
No, I think she'd be the one annoyed if you don't.
I know.
I think the vibe right now. I'll be back real fast.
Yeah, it's okay. I have all been there. All
That's
right.
funny.
I know. We'll just remove him for now, and and he comes back, we'll bring him on. So, I mean, okay. So let's chime in while we're waiting for Kevin. What's an incomplete soul?
I have no idea, unless it's something that the only thing I can think of, because I've never come across it,
Mm.
is do we go through time and we leave bits and pieces? You've heard of quadrants of the soul.
Well, yeah, or the
So-
soul splitting. Okay, let's
Yeah,
ask.
I wonder if it's that.
Let's ask. Let's ask. So we're chiming in here on an incomplete soul. What
Okay.
is your definition of an incomplete soul, and how do you put us back together? So,
Well, I really don't look at it like that.
okay.
My experience is that when we're born and we live and we die, we leave behind some elemental energy
Okay.
of our soul.
Right.
And it's the natural part. It's the natural process of dying and moving on.
Right. Right.
But as you incarnate and incarnate again and again and again, these, what I call pieces of your previous selves, start to become a burden to who you are.
Mm.
And by retrieving them, I use that word, retrieve, you are reintegrating that energy with who you are. With this
Right.
life.
Do you believe the soul can split and live simultaneous lives as per dimension, etc.? That's a big one. A lot of people have that belief.
I'll drop another one here.
All right.
I've experienced at least 25 realities happening simultaneously, each one an expression of yourself,
Wow.
and in different, slightly different configurations. Because we're here to learn. Always keep
Right.
that in mind. We're here to learn. And that's just kind of like a sped up learning process.
Right. Right. 25 of me. Oh,
Oh,
people,
boy.
watch out.
But
What
I
was
keep
our
My-
boy about?
My husband be dying right now if he heard that.
he wants to go to heaven too.
Right.
He'd be
Right.
flying. He'd be flying back to Sicily if he knew there was 25 of me.
Might be a happy man. So the question that doesn't mean a lot to me, because when we leave aspects of ourselves at the ending of a life,
Mhm.
we do need to recover them to be complete. We
Right.
need to. They're already complete. They already passed out.
Mhm.
So we in consciousness now constantly strive for completion.
Right. So when someone passes away, you know how you have that moment where you're like, oh, I'm waiting for this person to leave me a sign or show themselves. Basically, that means they're all encompassing. They're everywhere. So they can be leaving 25 signs for 25 people all at one time, is what you're saying.
Well, fortunately, I don't experience
Right.
never 24.
Okay, because I was about ready to just like call up a bunch of family members and say, wait for it anytime.
It's kind of scary to know that some of my family members are 25 of.
Yeah, right. Oh my God.
Forget me.
If they were annoyed with you in the 24 other lives and they like you this life, you're like ahead of the game.
I'm well loved. I have brothers. I'm the only girl, so I'm like the little princess, and I'm the best cook in this family. So they're always gonna love me.
Chris.
Chris asks, "What do you think about an oversoul?" I don't even know what that is.
Right.
Well, it's another expression of total self,
Right.
and it's your total self. It's everything that you are, all of your lives and all of your consciousness in your group of other souls like yourself.
Mm.
The oversoul is just like the higher self, oversoul.
Mm. Right.
Okay. Jolly says, "We are in source at the same time of living in other realms."
Well, not we. We're not source. Our soul is source.
Right. We are in source.
In
I
source.
guess.
That's
Yeah.
what she said. Not we are source. Yeah.
We're in source. Yeah. Yeah. Now, you do planetary work. And you've been doing work in the Ukraine.
Yes.
See? So can you talk about that? What you're able to do, how it's been helping?
That's another weird story.
Yeah, I like it.
We have
just do
time.
this. It's a weird night, Kevin, in case we haven't noticed.
Oh,
It's
good
been
Lord.
a really weird night.
Yeah.
Let's keep
When
up and embrace the
When I first
weirdness.
started going to Ukraine at the beginning of the conflict,
Okay.
or at that point it was like a police action or something like that.
Okay.
It reminded me of Vietnam. And not a lot of people had died. You remember the first weeks of the vacation, the Russians came in and they wanted to be gentle. They didn't want to do bad things and get people upset. They thought the Ukrainians would follow them and fall in love with Putin and want to be a part of Russia again. So there was not a lot of killing going on. So going in to retrieve a soul who had died in that conflict, it was okay with me because there was like 1 or 2 or 3. It was not something that was really distressing to me.
Right.
But as this went on and on and on, hundreds of thousands of people had died. Hundreds of thousands of people have died. What I call the discarnate energy patterns are piling up.
Mm-hmm.
Most of those people died due to violence or bombs.
Yes. That leaves one heck of an imprint. Now, can you describe how you do a soul retrieval? Is that something you can do? Because everybody's got their own way of doing certain things. Some people don't want to touch on it. They're just like, hey, it's my way. That's it. Other people, can it even be something that you can describe? Because some people do it so naturally, it's just like a second instinct.
Well, the retrieval is a commitment.
Mm.
The ability to retrieve is a function of who you are and what you're committed to and what your intent is.
Mm-hmm.
So if your intention to retrieve and it's an actual intention, it's energetically charged, you can retrieve. And retrieve is very simple. When I first started doing it, I retrieved a lot of very interesting characters. And I would ask them, do you want to go to the light? That's all I would say. Do you want to go to the light? So she gets to the light. And most often the answer is yes, I want to do that. And I'm not real happy where I am at the moment. So the technique is simple, it's touching. One energetic body touching another energetic body, linking, and then with intention, energized intention going to the light.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Not everyone wants to be retrieved. Some souls are very happy with what they're doing and where they are, or they just simply don't believe it.
Right.
And I
That's a tough one.
Pardon?
That's a tough one. When you're coming in to retrieve, it's basically a type of like a rescue, and you feel like you have to leave someone behind. What do you do if you feel like you're not really leaving them in a good position?
Well, then you just wish
Grab
them
them?
luck.
Grab them, sorry, get on the bus?
No. And I use a bus. Interesting you say that.
Do you?
A friend of mine uses
Go ahead.
If they don't want to go, they don't want to go.
Right.
You can talk with them.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I get a little tricky. I say, well, your family members are in the light now, and they would like to see what you say.
Mm-hmm.
Those family members do want to see you, but we don't believe they want to see us. So there's no connectivity between the soul who is bound into the earth realm and the soul that is passed on into the light.
Right.
So you have to talk. How did you die? I often ask, what's your name? What's your age? Where are you from? And then I write it down when I come out of this. Because it always fascinates me to try to verify the information I'm given.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever tried bringing a past loved one of theirs forward to help them across?
Yes. That was a family matter. One of the members of my extended family was an alcoholic.
Mm.
He died. Killed himself with alcohol. And he was stuck. He was bound in sadness and self-pity. And he pretty much didn't know he was dead. He
Right.
was another blackout.
Mm.
So because I knew him very well, I started easing off the linkage that was holding him where he was. And then another family member, his mother, showed up. And that was shocking. I didn't expect her to show up.
Right.
Very cool lady. And she had a lot of skills and talents. And she showed up and said, "Can I help you?" And I said, "You're probably better at this with your son than I am, because he will respond to you as his mother.
Right.
That bonding is there existing between the two of you." So she stepped in and she wrapped her arms around him, figuratively speaking, because there are no arms.
Yes.
She wrapped her energy around him, and she reached a point of going into who he is, recognition. I would say I opened the door and she walked through it. And then she said, "I would like to take him into the light. I've never done this before." And I said, "Okay, go." And then she looked at me and she said, "Can I go into the light too?" I said, "Absolutely."
Wow.
That's a beautiful moment.
You did an amazing thing with your child.
Yeah.
Two of them to the light, and that's why I'd never dreamed of them. I haven't seen them.
Right.
That's a beautiful, special moment right there to share.
My guide showed up right after this, and he was watching me do all this. It's kind of like a training course. And he sent this, put his hands out, and he sent this incredible wave of love to me. With a little tag, "Well done."
Yeah, that's really awesome. It's so rewarding.
That wave of love I have not experienced before. It's just, it melted me inside. It's so special. It's beautiful. I usually don't say those words in relationships with spirits.
Right.
Definitely beautiful.
So would you say that that's part of what makes a soul incomplete? If you can live up to 25 different existences, and you get one that doesn't want to reunite, I suppose, and it sort of hangs back, is that part of bringing, an incomplete soul together? Is that part of like the retrieval of that one part of yourself?
Well, that's a higher level of recovery.
Yeah.
The 25 realities that I talk about operate independently of each other.
Right.
So there's rarely, if ever, a crossover of one into another. They have 25 versions of you. You're one of the 25 versions, but you're bound into this reality. So the only thing that you need to do is retrieve these aspects of energy that you left behind in another life.
Right.
Because when you are able to do that, you've really moved far along the spiritual evolutionary scale.
Right.
Because you're not thinking about yourself. You're thinking about spirit. You're thinking about God. You're thinking about the Creator. With these retrievals.
Right.
Otherwise, you would never be able to find them.
And you also do healing work. The healing channeler. Can you talk about that?
Well, I don't have an active healing practice now. I used to.
Right.
And people would come and say, "Can you use your skills and talents?" And that's how I view it. To help alleviate a condition.
Okay.
So when I was younger, I did this for years, and I said, "Okay, I'd work on it." I learned a lot of things about healing that I've carried forward into my present life. But I've limited the healing experience to friends and family.
Right. Okay. Well, I don't know. I'm sort of just like, where do we go from here? We've covered so much.
The story is endless. It's truly endless.
Yeah, it is. That's what I'm saying. It's just, you can, like, I can bounce back and forth because it's so easy to, you can tie so many ends together. But what we'll do is bring up some comments here.
Chris says souls aren't bound to the earth plane very long after the body dies. The soul lets loose of the physical.
Well, I've run across souls that have been stuck here for hundreds of years.
Yeah. I've come across souls that are stuck as well.
So time is relative. Remember, in spirit, there is no time.
Yeah. I think I think that's a living on the earth plane belief that they're not stuck. That's why they need assistance crossing, because they are stuck.
We don't want to believe.
Mhm.
We don't want to believe we can get stuck. We don't want to believe that there are souls that are stuck, because it implies that we can get stuck.
Yeah.
Mm.
Exactly.
So if you have a really positive view that you can't get stuck, you just go to the light, and you run across a situation that you're not prepared for, there can be problems.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
agree.
Chris
Yeah.
says if soul is bound to the earth's plane for hundreds of years, then they are here by choice. Sometimes it's fear, and
Mhm.
children are often afraid to cross. You'd be surprised at how many children are stuck, Chris. Like on here, it's really sad. Jolly asks, have you ever read anything from Robert Monroe?
And that question comes from Preston Dennett.
Oh, from Preston. Sorry. Thanks,
Okay.
Jolly. Okay, Preston.
Let's back up. Yeah. Have you ever read anything from Robert Monroe?
I'm a total fan of Robert Monroe.
Oh, there we go. Like mine's. Yeah, Preston cheers from the sidelines. Doesn't come in. Does a lot of shows with us.
You know, it's interesting that I've read the Monroe books and some of the Hemisync tapes, and the benefit to me was that they organized what I was doing in spirit.
Mm.
Because Monroe says that when you're out of body, you're on a highway, and you can take tributaries or branches off from the highway, but you're still on the highway. And so he organized his experiences in a way that made sense to me and matched up with my own experiences. But now I identify it clearly, and that pushed me into a new level.
Mm-hmm.
So Monroe was fantastic, and the Hemisync tapes can move you forward because it entrains the left side of the brain with the right side of the brain.
Yeah, good luck with that. That's a tough one.
Monroe does it with frequency.
Yes.
And because of the structure of our culture, we think independently left side, right side.
Mm-hmm.
But Asians, Chinese think left and right simultaneously. There's no distinction.
Right.
So
right.
when they're writing their characters, the characters have a high emotional impact as well as the meaning of the character, because they're creating from the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to be more scientific because the left side of the brain dominates our reality.
That's true.
And the right side of the brain, which is the creative component, is often misunderstood by the left side as being useless.
Well, it's emotional. It's arts. It's
emotional. It's not worthwhile.
Yeah, the left side's the hunter, survival mode, right? So it's the more dominant. I mean, I can completely, understand that from, logic point of view. Chris, again.
Chris says, well, in our current culture, women can be men and men can be women, and there is no difference between the two. That's another show. That's another show. That's a sensitive topic.
I think we're going into the thinking, Oh, wow, we're slowly coming up to a quarter to already. Good grief. Okay, I'm going to show this. I'm going to come in and show you a book. 1 second. Coming in. Window, bam, share. There we are. There's the book.
Nice cover.
Yes. So where can people find your book, and let everybody know what you've got coming up next for Kevin Jeffers?
Well, there are two answers. Where you can get the book now is on Amazon and Google Books.
Okay.
Just go to their stores, do the research, the pattern, Kevin Jeffers, and it pops up fairly quickly.
Okay. Excellent.
So there's that side to the answer. The future work, the website, which is scrolling now, the pattern.puv, talks about all of these things I'm involved in.
Right. Okay. Dude, I'm going to get your book and read it. Thank you for writing it. That's a compliment. Very cool. We can do that. We're going to start bringing on our guests who are going to be reading all these books. I'm going to quiz you all. We're going to quiz you all. So, so what now? You are writing. You're writing. You've got more things.
I'm
coming up.
writing book number 2.
Okay,
It's just as weird as book number 1.
I like it.
And it's committed to the notion of soul retrieval.
Okay.
And I'm going to talk about what that means, my experiences. I don't talk about anyone else's experiences.
Right.
I don't talk on behalf of anybody. I don't represent an authority to talk about anybody other than myself. So I will be putting down in volume retrieval stories, because I have years and years of journaling that I've done, and I'm going to take that, extract the interesting ones, and I'm going to group them. One group will be family retrievals. Another group will be stuck soul retrieval. Another group will be children, retrieval of children and elderly people.
Mm-hmm.
So the book will be filled with chapters of different kinds of retrieval.
Mm-hmm. And when do you expect that one to be released, or are we getting ahead of ourselves?
Yeah, I'm looking 4 to 5 months go forward.
Okay. Okay.
Because it's all outlined. It's totally outlined. And now I just have to put the words down on a piece of paper.
I think that's the tough part. You know, you can go in and do something like that when you're doing energy work of any sort. It's so easy in our minds to just go and do it. But then somebody says, okay, write it down. Like, what? You know, because you have to train yourself to go through the steps that you already naturally know how to do.
Well, it's very discomforting to publish the book. But what was even more so, my editor said to me, Kevin, you need to create authenticity in your experience. So I want real experiences, real verifiable experiences, of which I put in the book, but it was very uncomfortable. I don't like talking about myself because I view what I have as a gift of spirit that should be shared. When I sell a book, I donate it to a nonprofit organization.
Right. Well, that's awesome. That's like a pay it forward.
Yeah, books don't pay. Whatever people think, books don't.
This is true.
Yeah, we hear that all the time.
I know it's true.
When I tell the authors, "Oh, I bought your book. I ordered that book." That's great.
Yeah, we got this pretty cool book, but I'm now in debt.
Yes. Yeah, that's usually how it goes for the struggling artists and authors. And okay, so Chris says,
wow.
Yeah.
Kevin, if nothing else, you've made me think about why I disagree with you. So yes, I'll read your book. Maybe later another discussion should be had. You might change your mind, Chris.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Hopefully Chris will dive into the spirit world and answer questions.
Chris, curiosity. Why? Can you say why you disagree? Is there something specifically? Again, I'm curious about things like that because of conditioning or, you know, maybe personal experiences that someone may be having. I'm open to changing my mind. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's why we bring you all these amazing people. Just sort of like open up different doors and lead you astray for a little while and take you down a different path, you know? So, well, I really want to thank you for joining us. It's definitely been interesting. It's been challenging. I have to say, I'm very, you know, I do energy work. I have for a couple of decades. I've worked with spirits. I've worked with really malevolent beings. I've worked with, you know, beings that people consider malevolent that maybe not so much towards me. You know, we all have our path. And you've definitely left me questioning and wondering, especially getting into the whole chaos and earth sort of thing. I was kind of like, wait a minute. So I gotta pay more attention when I make my way out there because it's like, but I may warrant a part too. So, but thank you. And I will most certainly be in touch with you after the show, because I always like to share our listenership and send you links and things like that. And and appreciate you being
Well,
on. And
my
look,
goal, Michelle, of these podcast experiences is to leave questions.
yes,
If I've answered everything, I've answered nothing.
right,
The experience of the person looking at the podcast, listening, should be provoking questions.
right,
And then to me, it's a job well done.
right. No, I agree. I think it's just a constant state of evolution.
Yeah.
We're here to evolve. We're here to keep learning, right? It's all part of the journey, and you just have to get through it and take in as much as you can and put it back out as well.
And then you have all these fascinating experiences that are bookended by your birth and your death.
Right. Right. Oh
Yeah,
boy.
make that dash count.
Right. Well, thank you so much again for joining us.
Thank you.
It was a real pleasure. Thank you for enlightening us and educating us and sharing your experiences with us.
Very well produced. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
So much, Kevin. Have a great
And you made it through
weekend.
the tech difficulties. Amelia wasn't so lucky, but you certainly did. So
You're a very patient person.
no. I know you see her in the background. See, I can feel it coming from her, though. I know she wasn't happy. So.
Oh, with Maya? No, I have to unplug everything and rewire it this weekend. Sometimes you just have to do that. You have to unplug to make it work.
Unplug in many ways.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Kevin. I will be in touch. Thank you again. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good
Well,
night.
guys, we have come to the end of another fantastic segment here on the Outer Realm. Most certainly, we do have the best guests, and comes with years of research. Whether we agree, whether we disagree, it leaves room for growth. It leaves food for thought. And I'm all about food for thought and learning something new. And I'm not afraid to delve into something that I'm not sure about. It just leaves me wanting more. But tonight we are done. So big thank you to Kevin Jeffers for, again, spending time with us and going over his research and his experiences. Big thank you to Folgers Coffee for sponsoring the show. Big thank you to Justice Snicker, aka Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon. Big thank you to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind the Outer Realm. If you'd like to contact us, guys, Outer Realm contact at gmail.com. I had that flashing up earlier. And again, people, remember we are on Roku. So check us out there. And also, I'm going to say it, Podcast Awards. You're going to start seeing a lot of stuff coming up on the network in the coming months. Coming weeks, especially. I mean, it is upon us. And of course, Amelia and I and the Outer Realm has been nominated for Best Female Podcasters. Huh? Who's your favorite? Come on. It's us guys, right? Yep. Anyway, we have a lot of fun doing it. Yeah, that's right.
It doesn't cost you anything to vote.
Of course we want to win. But if we don't, that's the fact of being nominated is pretty cool. So we will take that as well. But, that just start seeing things come up and you'll get to find out what other shows on the network have been nominated. There's usually 2 or 3. So it's pretty cool. In the meantime, next week, thanks, Chris, going to vote for us. That guy, I love it. Thank you. Love it. Next week, we have new faces. We do. We have new faces. The Outer Realm for the first time is going to be introducing you all to Costa Macraes. I hope I said that properly. And he's going to share his own personal contact experience, which prompted him to create a community of over 1 million people all over the world to come together for the People's Disclosure Movement. He will also discuss how they are using CE5 to make contact. Always interesting. Now, hold on to your hats. Thursday night, we welcome for the first time Robert W. Sullivan IV, who is going to be, and this is just the tip of the iceberg, guys. I don't know how much we'll have time for. May have to do a second appearance. Discussing his book, Cinema Symbolism. So, cinema symbolism, think about that. A lot of Illuminati symbols. You hear it in certain films. You see it in a lot of films. You see it in images. You see it everywhere. And he, my gosh, just go listen to his interviews. No, wait, listen to his interview with us. That'd be better. Because we're nominated. Remember that. And we bring you the best guests ever. But seriously, research him. He has got some of the most amazing stuff out there. He's also a very high degree Mason. He knows stuff. And he's coming to this show to share it all with us and with you guys. So something to look forward to. Who loves you, baby? We do. Don't lose sight of that. Anyway, everybody have a fantastic weekend. Please be safe out there because we do want to see you all here next week. So good night.